Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality in a way that is extremely empowering. Speaking of exploring powerful perspectives, I'm super excited to announce the release of my very first book, The Golden Key: Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance. If you're ready to alchemize the circumstances in your life so that your abundance expands to an entirely new level in 2021, head over to goldenkey.gift to download the audio or ebook as my gift to you by using the code POSITIVEHEAD. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we go again. It is a magical Monday here in the studio as I record, and I've decided to dive back into The Destiny of Souls by Michael Newton, the book, A New Case Study of Life Between Lives. And Michael Newton, for those who've never heard me, it's probably been 4 months or so since I've decided to pick up and read from this book. But I love this book. It's so fascinating because Destiny of Souls and Journey of Souls, there's two of them, where this guy, Michael Newton, he, PhD, was a psychologist, hypnotherapist who started, taking people, putting them under and via hypnotherapy, and then getting them where they were dropping into past lives. And then he would take them up until their death in that life and then say, okay, now what? And okay, now what? And then he would get all of what would happen to them afterlife in between incarnating physically. And what he found is that he really, because he has such a sort of a scientific method to his sessions, and he over, I think, like 40 years, became his focus. He started off like kind of randomly stumbling into it. And he found, just kind of documented all these case studies and found all these parallels of what people would claim they were seeing and experiencing on the other side. And so it really gives us, if you believe it to be true, it gives us a detailed map of how things are structured, why they're structured the way they are, how we navigate, as souls going through. You think about it in terms of this lifetime just being one stop off in a bigger narrative of growth and expansion, and you experience that by going in and out of, physicality, non-physicality, back to where you came from, back into physical, putting on the robe, if you will, of physical flesh, and then experiencing what you need to, going back, integrating those lessons, connecting back with your soul fam, your soul group, and continuing that journey, and how it's just a fascinating account and study of how our perspective shift when we're over there too, and how we sort of analyze our lifetimes to figure out, what we learned, how we did, what we could take with us on this massive, intensive journey through consciousness and experience. It's like I just saw a quote the other day by Ram Dass that I thought was really interesting to think about, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like, death is just another moment of experience for your soul, for your consciousness. So it's just like, it's like, oh, we went to Disney World last week. It's like, oh, we left that physical body and now I'm having another experience and another. It's just another stopping off point. And so this really goes into that. Like I said, both books are pretty large with a lot of case studies. So I'm going to just read a few, and you can go back, if you go to the website, positivehead.com, and search Journey of Souls, Destiny of Souls, Michael Newton, any of those, it'll bring up all the other times I've read from the book or books, and you can just, of course, order them yourself if you want to get the full download. But it's great because if I'm feeling, like I'm ready for a little story time for myself and to share with you, it's a great book to pick up and just read from, the case studies. You don't need to read from front to back per se. So yeah, I'm going to just pick up and choose a random story. Haven't read it. We're just going to experience it together. And thanks for story time with Brandon on today's episode. And once again, it's Destiny of Souls, this particular one by Michael Newton. And this is case 5 on page 25 where I'm starting. Oh, and oftentimes when during the case studies, there's like sometimes where Dr. Newton is talking about, whatever that he's sort of documenting in his writing. And then there's a lot of it is him back and forth talking to the subject who's under hypnosis, and he's kind of navigating them. So I'll inflect my voice so you can tell, what's the doctor and what is the person who's under hypnosis. My subject in this case has just died of pneumonia in New York City in 1935. She was a young woman in her early 30s who came to New York after growing up in a small Midwestern town. Sylvia's death was sudden, and she wanted to provide some comfort to her widowed mother. Doctor asking a question. Do you leave immediately for the spirit world after death? No, I do not. I must say goodbye to my mother, so I want to stay around Earth for a while until she gets the news. Is there anyone else you care to see before going to your mother? With hesitation, then in a husky voice. Yes, I have an old boyfriend. His name is Phil. I go to his house first. I see. Were you in love with Phil? Yes, but we never married. I just want to touch him once more. I don't really make contact with him because he is sound asleep and not dreaming. I can't stay long because I want to reach my mother before she hears the news about me. Aren't you being a little too rushed with Phil? Why don't you wait for a proper dream cycle and leave a message? Phil hasn't been a part of my life for years. I gave myself to him when we were both young. He hardly thinks about me anymore. And well, to pick up on me through a dream, he could miss the message anyway. My leaving traces of my energy is enough for now because we will be together again in the spirit world. After leaving Phil, do you go to your mother? Yes, I begin with more conventional thought communication. While she is awake, but I am getting nowhere. She is so sad. My mother's grief at not being at my bedside is overpowering her. What methods have you tried so far? I project my thoughts with orange-yellow light, like the flame of a candle, and place my light around her head, sending loving thoughts. I'm not effective. She doesn't realize I am with her. I'm going for a dream. All right, Sylvia, take me through this slowly. Please start by telling me if you pick out one of your mother's dreams or if you can create one of your own. I don't create dreams well yet. It is much easier for me to take one of hers so I can enter the dream to effect a more natural contact and then participate. I want her to know it is clearly me in the dream. Fine. Now take me through this process with you. The first couple of dreams are unsuitable. One is a muddle of absurdity. Another is a past life fragment, but without me in it. Finally, she has a dream where she is walking alone in the fields around my house. You should know she has no grief in this dream. I am not dead yet. What good is this dream, Sylvia, if you're not in it? Laughing at me. Listen, aren't you seeing? I'm going to smoothly place myself in the dream. You can alter the sequence of the dream to include yourself? Sure. I enter the dream from the other end of the field by matching my energy patterns to my mother's thoughts. I project an image of myself as I was the last time she saw me. I come slowly across the field to let her get used to my presence. I wave and smile and then come to her. We hug each other, and now I send waves of rejuvenating energy into her sleeping body. And what will this do for your mother? This picture is raised to a higher level of consciousness for my mother. I want to ensure the dream will stay with her after she wakes. How can you be sure she won't think this is all a projection of her desire for you and discount the dream as not being real? The influence of a vivid dream like this is very great. When my mother wakes up, her mind has a vivid impression of this landscape with me and suspects I am with her. In time, the memory is so real she is sure of it. Sylvia, Does the image of the dream move from the unconscious to a conscious reality because of your energy transfer? Yes. It is a filtering process where I continue to send waves of energy into her over the next few days until she begins to accept my passing. I want her to believe I am still part of her and always will be. That's kind of where the back and forth ends for a moment. And the doctor saying, turning back to Phil's sleep state, it was evident Sylvia did not intend to stay long to manifest her feelings within his unconscious mind. Dreams do not appear to occur in the deep delta stages of brainwave activity where there is no rapid eye movement. REM sleep, also known as paradoxical sleep, is a much lighter and therefore more active dream state occurring mostly in the early and late stages of sleep. In my next case, the dreamer will be reached between dreams, presumably because he is still in REM sleep. The dream weaver souls I have come in contact with all engage in dream implanting with two prominent differences. 1. Dream alteration. Here, a skillful discarnate enters the mind of a sleeper and partially alters an existing dream already in progress. This technique I would call one of the interlineation, where spirits place themselves as actors between the lines of an unfolding play so the dreamer is not aware of script tampering with the sequences. This is what Sylvia was doing with her mother. She was waiting for the right sort of ongoing dream to enter and initiate a smooth fit. As difficult as this approach seems, it is evident to me the second procedure is more complex. Number 2. Dream origination. In these cases, the soul must create and fully implant a new dream from scratch and weave the tapestry of these images into a meaningful presentation to suit their purpose. Creating or altering scenes in the mind of a dreamer is intended to convey a message. I see as this an act of service and love. If the dream implantation is not performed skillfully to make the dream meaningful, the sleeper moves on and wakes up in the morning remembering only disjointed fragments or nothing at all about the dream. To illustrate the therapeutic use of dream orientation, I will cite the case of a level 5 subject whose name was Bud in his last life. Real quick, I'll tell you guys, in the books, he breaks down the different levels of souls, what he's found, and where our soul has sort of evolved or advanced to as we've navigated through the game of incarnations. We sort of level up, and so level 5 being someone, if I recall, that's it's more advanced than a level 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's not, and there's no hierarchy. It's not a better than. It's just like being at a different point in the game of soul mastery, I guess you would say. Okay, I'll move on. Bud was killed in a 1942 battle during World War II. The case involved a dreamer called Walt, who was Bud's surviving brother. Bud is adept at dream weaving, so after his battlefield death, he returned home to the spirit world and made preparations for an effective method to comfort Walt. This is one of those cases that gave me greater perspective of the subtle integration methods Dreamweaver souls are able to use with sleeping people. During this condensed case, my subject will describe the dream techniques taught to him by his guide, Axanar. So, yeah, oftentimes on the other side, the souls are interacting with their guides who are maybe further along in the game of soul advancement, and so these guides will then work with them to help them through making big decisions, what lifetime to reincarnate in, what how to integrate and reflect about what they experienced, and pretty wild, pretty cool. Okay, case 6, here we go. This is the guy who died in World War II, and he's coming back to comfort his brother. How do you plan to alleviate your brother's grief after returning to the spirit world? Axanar has been working with me on an effective strategy. It's very delicate because we are with Walt's duplicate. You mean the dual part of Walt's energy mass that remained behind during his incarnation to Earth? Yes, Walt and I are in the same soul group. I begin by connecting myself to his divided nature here to more closely communicate with Walt's light on Earth. Please explain this procedure. So real quick, he talks about having read these all a long time ago. I recall it's Walt in this case is still in physicality, but he's also got we all have the parts of ourselves that are still on the other side. So I think that's what he's referencing here. Please explain this procedure. I float next to the cache where his remaining energy is anchored and meld with it briefly. This allows for a perfect recording of Walt's energy imprint. There's already a telepathic bonding between us, but I want to have a tighter vibrational alliance when I reach his bedside. Why do you wish to carry an absolutely accurate print of Walt's energy pattern with you on your return to Earth? For a stronger connection to the dreams I will create. But why can't Walt's other half communicate with himself on Earth instead of you? This does not work well. It is nothing more than talking to oneself. There is no impact, especially during sleep. It's a washout. All right, since Walt's exact energy print is with you, what happens when you go to a sleeping body? He is tossing and turning at night and really suffering a lot over my being killed. Axanar trained me to work between dreams because he does these energy transfers so well himself. You work between dreams? Yes, so I can leave messages on either side of two different dreams and then link them for greater receptivity. Because I have Walt's exact energy imprint, I slip into his mind quite easily to deploy my energy. After my visit, a third dream about the first two unfolds as a delayed reaction, and Walt sees us together again in and out of body setting, which he won't recognize as the spirit world, but the activation of these inviting memories will sustain him. Note, some cultures, such as the Tibetan mystics, believe they do recognize the spirit world as an almost physical paradise to be a natural part of dreaming. Okay, back and forth. What were the dreams you created? Walt was 3 years older, yet we played a lot together as boys. This changed when he was 13, not because we weren't still close as brothers. He just became attached to guys his own age, and I was excluded. One day, Walt and his friends were swinging on a rope tied over the branch of a big tree high above a pond near our farm. I was nearby watching. The other boys went first and were engaged in a water fight when Walt swung too high and hit his head hard on another branch and was almost knocked out as he fell into the water. They did not see him fall. I dove into the pond and held up his head, screaming for help. Later on the bank, Walt looked up at me with a dazed expression and said, "Thanks for saving me, buddy." I thought this act would admit me to their club, but a few weeks afterwards, Walt and his friends would not let me play a game of softball with him. I felt betrayed that Walt would not stand up for us. During the game, the ball was hit into some bushes, and they couldn't locate it. That evening, I found their ball and hid it inside our barn. We were poor kids, and this ruined their game for a while until one of the boys got another ball for his birthday. Tell me the message you wanted to convey to Walt. To show two things. I wanted my brother to see me crying and holding his bleeding head in my lap on the bank of the pond and remember what we said to each other after he stopped choking. The second dream about the softball game ended when I added a trailer to the dream and took him into the barn where the softball was still hidden. I told Walt I forgave him for every slight in our lives together. I wanted him to know I'm always with him and the devotion we have for each other can't die. He will know this when he returns to the old barn to look for the ball. Does Walt need to dream again about all this after your visit? It's not necessary as long as he recalled the location of the ball after he woke. Walt did remember what I had implanted. Going back to our old barn and finding the ball made the message come together. This gave Walt some serenity about my death. Ooh, that one gave me chills. That's amazing. Dream symbolism moves on many levels in the mind, some of which are abstract while others are emotional. The dreams of this case involving experiential imagery reinforce poignant memories of two brothers in a slice of recorded time. Future unification was pictured for Walt in a third, rather wispy dream of both souls happily together once again in the spirit world. It took me quite a long while before I found an advanced subject apprenticed to a dream master, a title I feel is appropriate for Axanar in Case 6. As with any spiritual technique, some souls show more inclination than others towards acquiring advanced skills. In Case 6, Bud not only originated a sequence of dreams in Walt's minds, but then engaged in the more complex technique of linking them into a central theme of love and support for his brother. Finally, Bud provided physical evidence that he was there through the use of a hidden baseball. I take nothing away from Sylvia in Case 5 because she was very effective entering her mother's dream to give her peace without disruption to the dreamer. It's just that Case 6 demonstrated more spiritual artistry. All right. Wow, those are a couple of really cool stories. I really like the one with the baseball. What a magical spiritual breadcrumb to let his brother know that he was actually there with him in the dream state. So inspiring, so cool. And as I glanced down, I just paused for a second. You know, you guys don't know that because we cut out the empty air. But I was like, oh, I forgot to choose a song today. So I go to see, what will I play? And my partner Karen had just shared a song with me the other day, and it is titled "With Me All Along." How perfect. Beautiful song. I think that's the one for this episode that's meant for today. And it's true. Those that we love are with us all along, and we never lose anyone or anything. We take breaks from each other so that the coming back together actually means something again. It is a beautiful, beautiful dance, and I'm so glad to be back with each and every one of you again. And I look forward to next time on the show. Until then, journey well. Also, before we cue up today's song, as a quick reminder, don't forget to download the Golden Key audio or ebook as my free gift to you at goldenkey.gift using the Golden Key code POSITIVEHEAD. And please, if you enjoy my gift, leave a positive review on Amazon so others can unlock their lives with the help of the Golden Key as well.
You've been with me all along, always on my side. You've never gone. You've been with me all along, and you've been holding on for so long. When others would be gone, you stayed with me all along. You've been with me when I laugh or cry. Anywhere I stood, you were standing by. With me when I'm fine, with me when I'm not, with me when I'm giving everything I got. With me all along, not a cameo. Every scene, every episode, in every video. Skip no scenario, there anywhere we go. You've been with me all along, always on my side. You've never gone. You've been with me all along, and you've been holding on for so long. When others would be gone, you stayed with me all along. You're still with me, and I hope you stay. We come a long way since the early days. Always had a spot in the escapades, and a suitcase for the getaways. And all along you were always down. Showed up and would hang around, singing loud, standing out in every crowd. And we're still here now. You've been with me all along, always on my side. You've never gone. You've been with me all along, and you've been holding on for so long. When others would be gone, you stayed with me all along. They're not all like you, no. Some blow away in a fair weather gust, disappear in a cloud of dust, leave you in the rain to rust, drain your trust. Say you're pretty good, but not good enough. The ones you thought you knew well, but I guess not well enough. But that's not you, that's not you. You never put me in the rear view. I wouldn't be the same without you. So I thank you, you never put me in the rear view. And I wouldn't be the same without you. You've been with me all along,